We'll figure out the logistics of the light and the filming one of these days, right? Hi, good morning, everybody. Jim Adkins here from Adkins Results Coaching. Just touching on a couple of interesting subjects. I've approached this subject before, and it seems that it's an interesting thought for most people. And it comes back up in the sense of, who am I not? So the question or what I posted up there was, who are you? Who can you become? Who were you? You're many people to many people. And that's one of my favorite quotes is, I'm many people to many people. And that's the truth. So when you're seeking to define yourself, I noticed that this is going to bug me, guys. I noticed that a lot of people try to come up with a name or a term or an idea to define who they are, instead of an action. So let's discuss this for real quick, because this is what set this off, and and I don't mean to laugh, especially when I posted, multiple personalities, because that's not funny at all. But here's what happened. Okay, you're on social media, and I do a lot of work through social media, which is awesome because I get contacted by a lot of people and I get help that way. So I find myself on social media probably more than I should be at times. But so here's what it is. I've got clients, I've got friends, I've got students, and they post little games, and it cracks me up, but I had to mention it because they pop up consistently. Click here to find out what crayon you are. or find out what your Native American name is, or what your rapper name is, or what rock are you, or what animal is your spirit guide, and these little games that are on there, I'm sure they're fun to play. And I thought about it for a minute, and it's like, what's the draw? What is the draw to that type of an action? What is the draw to that type of a game? And it could be, and I'm asking this question of you, if you've ever played one of those games, you can chime in and let me know. I think that if I took a test to find out what type of rock I was, and it came back and said, you're a dirt clod. And I went, wait, I'm not a dirt clod. I'm this, that, or the other thing. Well, in the active thought of negotiating what the answer was tells me a lot about who I think I am. Does that make sense to you? Well, you're an Indian love stone. I won't go into that joke. Or you are or a piece of granite. Well, then now that's more like it. Yeah. So knowing or just getting that answer from any type of test or any type of game that you play probably puts you into a mode of introspective, of self-realization. You get an answer you don't like, and you negotiate. You get an answer you believe in, and it's like, yeah, that's me, or one you want to achieve, right? What mythical creature are you? You're a butterfly. No, I'm a dragon. Or you get the dragon, you go, yeah, that's me. So I think that those games, and again, this is what set me off this morning into this path of thinking. And I got questions for you because I'm interested in how this works. Have you ever played those games, and do you find yourself doing what I just said? You get something you agree with, and you, at least for the moment, you strive to live up to that moniker. Or you get an answer you're not really fond of, and you go, that's not me, I am this. Well, sometimes we choose to define ourselves and find ourselves by polarities. And it's easier for some people to clearly state who they're not more than who they are. Let me state that again. So if you start looking to define yourself, you start looking for ways to find yourself, or uncover the true potential of who you want to become, and you're looking for those answers, and maybe you don't have a mentor yet. Maybe you don't have somebody you look up to, or at least you don't recognize it yet. It's easier at times to decide who you're not. You look at people, and we all have people in our life that we choose, we see, and we go, I would never do that to somebody, or somebody who does something to you, and you decide, I promise I will never become that person, or there's no way I'm going to become that person. Or you hear about things, and you decide, hey, that's not who I want to become, or even, God forbid, you do it yourself. And in hindsight, you go and you look and you say, that's not who I am. Why did I respond that way? I don't want to be that person. And you seek to change. Well, that's not a bad thing. So when you start looking to become the best person you can be, and you decide, well, it's got to be this or it's got to be that, it's okay to look and decide at times, it's definitely not going to be that, and it's definitely not going to be that. That will steer you in a direction, right? You can at least use the polar opposites as a guide. I hope that rant didn't lose you. I really didn't plan anything today. I just thought this would be fun to talk about and ask questions. So I've got one from Amy Ellison. Yes. I'm going to assume that came through when I was saying, did you play the games, and you find out that you're the dirt clod and you don't want to. I'm going to assume that. Or you find that you're the dragon and you reach for the dragon. Good, right? So when that happens, it's kind of like flipping a coin. And again, if you're looking to define who you are, or you're looking to become the best version of yourself, and you haven't really got an idea yet of what or who that looks like, it's sometimes easy to know that what you're not going to do. Flipping a coin. I use this analogy every once in a while. If you're trying to make a decision, and it's going to come down to a flip of a coin, either this or that, it's a known process that the second you flip that coin and choose one of the other sides, you know in your head which one you hope it's going to be. And if you look at it and you get that feeling, you knew it was the other decision. Well, do you stick to the flip of the coin, or do you make the decision based on your gut instinct? Same thing's true with who you become. When you do something and it doesn't feel right, if you've given it a lot of thought and you're truly an ethical person, or you have integrity, you will start to understand who you're not versus who you want to become. Does that make sense? Good. Now, defining yourself as only one idea, you saw the picture of the person juggling all kinds. Well, when I talk to parents, and a parent is many things, right? A doctor, a counselor, a lawyer, a financier, a banker, a disciplinarian, a jailer. A parent can be a lot of things. I think we're all that way in life. We take on and put on many hats, and in the process of doing it, some people have a tendency to lose themselves in the thought that what they do might conflict with who they want to become. So they're doing one thing and they're making decisions in this area, and then they have to shift and become the parent. So you've got a career, and you've got a family, and you've got yourself, and you've got lots of different areas in those lives. And during your career, you're making decisions, and you're becoming this person that your career is driving you into. And then you get home and you're divided your time between work and your family and yourself, and you give your family your all. So maybe your career suffers a little bit, or you give up on yourself a little bit, and you start finding that there are conflicts in between the two. And then you start trying to find time for yourself and who you want to become. But who you want to become is now at odds with who you've been forever as a parent, or who you're becoming in your career. All of these things start to take shape and mold you. And if you let one take over the other, you lose yourself. And it's harder to come back from that without making a lifestyle change than it is to move forward on another path. So this isn't a suggestion. This is my thought. And I want to ask your permission to see how you feel about this too. If you find in your life that you're conflicted with who you would like to become and where you feel you're stuck, Let's say you've been a parent for 15 years. You've been a husband, a wife for 25 years. You've been in the same career for 10, 15, 20 years. And each one are at odds with who you want to become now. How is it you can change all of those powerful anchors in your life and still become who you want to become without letting them go? I mean, we're not going to stop being a parent. If it's a positive relationship, we're not going to stop being a husband or a wife, right? If it's a career that we believe in, we're not just going to dump the career that we chose. So what do? Well, find yourself within all of that and cut away the things that are piling on top. It's like a garden, and we talk about weeding the garden. Your mind, your life is like a garden, and weeds have a tendency to grow automatically. And if you allow them to take over the beautiful plants or flowers or grass or anything that you are cultivating in your life, it gets pretty messy, and it gets to where you can't really see straight what the true intention was anymore. So what I think, you let me know how this works for you, is that it's okay to take one section of our life at a time and decide first what the weeds are and remove the weeds. And when I mean weeds, I mean things that you allow yourself to pile up. I'm not talking about your boss or your kids or your significant other. I'm talking about the paper piles, the clothes in the corner, the stuff you don't need over here, the activities that you've surrounded yourself, the memberships you've signed up for, the television channels you've got an abundance of that you don't even watch, that are sucking your finances away from you and you don't even know it. All of these little things are weeds that through life accumulate. And as we don't take care of them as they come up, they get in the way of who we are and they become noise. And the noise stops us from building our life and keeps us reacting to the things that are happening around us. And the reaction of every weed that pops up, if we don't eliminate it, move it, or get rid of it, it's going to come back. So that would be one thing, I think, in the search for who you are, when you find out what you don't want to be, that you can eliminate that from your life. That makes sense? We're not defined by the words that we use. We're not defined by the ideas that we can come up with. We're defined by the moments that test us, the actions that we take. And in that moment, you can reflect and decide, like the game that you just said, like the game that we were just talking about. If you're tested and you respond a certain way, it's like playing the game and getting the answer you don't want. Look at the way you responded and decide, the next time I see this coming, not the next time I let it happen, I will respond differently. I will not react this way. And you change it. Like the game, you get the dirt clod or you get the butterfly instead of the dragon, and you decide that's not it, and you eliminate that. Nobody can define you like that. It's up to you. So we're defined by the moments, okay, the tests and how we respond. I've got a lot of stuff on here that I would like to talk about, but I'm going to let you go. I just thought I'd get on here and talk about the game, because I like the idea, that we all do that. And it's sometimes, and to remind you that sometimes it's easy to define yourself by who you don't want to be rather than who you want to be, especially if it's hard to find or you don't have a mentor yet. So good morning, Mr. Murray. Have you ever said this? It's just what I do. It's just who I am. Well, are you okay with that? It's just what I do. It's just who I am. If you're not, change it, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to let you go. I'll come back on here and talk more about collective consciousness and, defining yourself with labels. But what I'd like to leave you with today, and the idea of who are you, and, is being many things to many people a personality disorder. And I'm not making light of personality disorders in the other sense. What I'm saying is, you probably put on many hats and are different people in different situations to different people in your life. Is that truly who you are, or are you playing a charade? That's something else we can talk about. But today, what I'd like you to do, if you don't have a mentor, find one. even for the moment. And, you could pick, and I'm not being religious here at all, but you could pick Jesus if you wanted to. Jesus was a teacher, right? You could pick any great, I don't want to give it, pick anybody that has done some great, wonderful things that you've witnessed or heard about in your life, or that you think can guide you to a certain point in the day. And then I want you to define them like this. Give me an action word. So describe, like if you were talking about Jesus, Jesus is what? Give me one. And I don't want savior. I don't want, that's no. If you choose, I'm not going to put limits, excuse me. If you choose savior and that's your mentor for the day, you might want to define deeper what that definition means to you, what that word means to you, and try to become that person. And I'm not going to limit you, but I prefer that this doesn't go off the deep end and you try to save everybody. Okay. But if you go, Jesus was a fantastic teacher. He helped lead people to the truth. He helped open their eyes to things that were happening around them and the abundance that they have and the things that they could share and do and accomplish. Those are words that you could take into your life and make yourself a better person from. So I want you to pick one mentor today. If you don't have one, it's easy to, open a book, find a hero, watch a show, find a hero, and just look at that person and define them by one word. Okay, if you can, or a couple words, just define them and put that into your thought process. You don't have to become them today, but put it in your thought process. Then I want you to reflect on the idea that your definition of that person did not define who they were to themselves. Did you catch it? One more time. Find a mentor. Find somebody that's going to help you through the day by witnessing positive, loving, caring, strong personality traits. Define that person's actions or who they are in the moment to you. What's important to you? And make it positive, okay? Then try that on for the day. Carry it around in your thought processes. Use it to weed your garden. And then at the end of the day, recognize that your definition of that person didn't define who they were to themselves. And we'll talk about that next time. All right. Just a rant. I hope you guys have a great day. Amy, Mr. Murray, I'll see you guys later. Until next time, on your mark, get set, grow.